Hello students, welcome to Unorthodox Learning YouTube channel, and today we'll discuss the poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This is a very interesting poem it is. The poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou is one of the most moving and eye-opening poem ever written. She talked about the struggle of being a black. She is black means she is African American. And she often felt that her words were not heard because of the color of her skin. She felt that in some ways she was still experiencing slavery. Although African Americans were free people in poetess time, there were restrictions on them in society, making it so that many black Americans did not free at all. The poem gives expression to the feelings of these black Americans rather of all the oppressed people in the world. Now here in this poem, the poetess has made a contrast between the free bird and the caged bird. Free bird symbolizes, or free bird is used as a metaphor for the white people, and the caged bird is used as a metaphor for the African Americans or the blacks. And the poet, with the metaphor of birds, represents the inequality of justice seen in the society of her time. And through her poem, she also illustrates the nature of both freedom and captivity by creating a contrast between the two using birds as metaphor. Now let us begin with the first stanza. A free bird leaps on the back of wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. The free bird leaps. Leaps means takes off. The poem begins by speaking of the free bird and how it has the freedom to go wherever, whenever, and can claim the sky because there are no other bird to contest with and there are no restrictions imposed upon the free bird. So the free bird takes off the flight. Leaps means takes off, and it is ready to fly. It takes the flight and it springs up from the ground and flies in the direction of the air current. Downstream means in the direction of in which the river or air flows. So the free bird flies in the direction of the air current. It also symbolizes the laziness of the free bird because it does not want to do any labor by moving against the direction of the wind. It is just flying in the direction of the air current and dips his wing in the orange sun rays. Orange sun rays. Orange here is used as imagery of color. Imagery of color, visual imagery. Which literary device is used here? Visual imagery means when we talk about orange sun rays, there comes a picture of orange sun rays in our mind. So this is imagery of color, and this is to associate with glow and happiness, which this free bird is enjoying. So it seems as if this free bird is dipping its wings in the orange sun rays while flying in the vast sky. It seems to be claiming its own right over the whole sky. It seems as if the whole sky belongs to the free bird because there is no competitor and dares. Dares here means not afraid of any other competitor because there is no other competitor for the free bird in the sky. And in this line, dares to claim the sky, hyperbole is used. This is another poetic device which is used here. And these two lines, in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky, these are the reflection of free and lively atmosphere that the bird lives in. So the first stanza tells us about the free bird free bird flies in the direction of the air current. It seems as if it is dipping its wings in the orange sun rays, and it shows us the free and lively atmosphere in which the free bird lives. And there is no competitor for a free bird, and there are no restrictions on the movement of the free bird. Now coming to the second stanza, the second stanza begins with but. But is used to show the contrast between the conditions of the free bird and the caged bird. But is used to show the contrast between the free bird and the caged bird. Now the second stanza and the third stanza are related to the caged bird. Symbolically, the caged bird represent the African Americans. I have told you in the introduction part about them. Now the second stanza, but a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. But is used to show the contrast. Stalks means moves in a small space. Narrow cage again shows the restrictions imposed upon the caged bird. Bars again symbolize restriction, and rage means fury and anger. And in the next line it is written clipped. His wings are clipped and feet are tied. Clipped means being clipped in the society on the basis of race, which prevents an individual from even testing their capability for success. So in this second stanza, the poetess brings to us the pathetic and miserable state of the caged bird, which stands for the Black American. The caged bird cannot move freely. It has limitations of its freedom. It has to move within a very short space as the restrictions are put on it. The caged bird can hardly ever see what lies beyond its cage. It's written can seldom see through his bars of rage. Means the caged bird cannot see the vast sky because the restrictions are imposed on the caged bird. It is behind the bars, and this caged bird is behind the bars. That is why it becomes furious. It becomes angry. In other words, we can say it can never get opportunities to see the outside world because of the bars. Whenever it sees its clipped wings and tied feet, it shows great fury because of the attitude of the world. But it seems helpless, and because of that helplessness, it does not have anything to do, or it cannot do anything but to raise its voice through singing. No one can stop it from singing. There are no restrictions imposed on singing. So the only thing which a bird can do is to open his throat and sing. Now the same takes place with the poetess and her fellow beings, that they can do nothing but raise their painful voice against the life of slavery and tortures inflicted upon them by the white people. Coming to the third stanza. Now talking about the poetic devices used in the second stanza. Seldom see through. The sound of letter S is repeated in this line, so alliteration is used here. Coming to the third stanza, the caged bird, again related to the caged bird only. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill. Trill means trembling sound, wavering sound, shaking sound. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. In this third stanza, the poetess tells us how the caged birds sing for freedom as if it still has hope for which it does not know. Means of things unknown, the caged birds still has a hope that of freedom. That is why it starts singing, but it does not know whether one day it will get freedom or not. So it is singing a song of freedom, but it does not know whether it would get freedom or not. There is a fear in its voice. It has never known what freedom tastes like, but hopes to have it for its own. Its voice can be heard from distant places, from faraway places, far and wide, on hills, where it inspires others to dream of freedom. One more thing here, the caged bird is singing a song. Irony is here. What is that? It is not a happy song, it is not a happy tune, it is not a song of sadness. The caged bird does not sing of sadness but of hope, inspiration, and freedom. So these lines, in these lines, the poetess clearly brings us to the voice of Black Americans, that they equally require freedom and they long for freedom, and they are raising their voice for freedom and against oppression. Coming to the fourth stanza is related to the free bird again. Moving to the free bird. The free bird thinks of another breeze and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees and the fat worms waiting on the dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. In this stanza, the very first line, alliteration, the literary device alliteration is used. In the second line, personification is used, because sighing of the trees, sighing is something which is a human characteristic, which humans can do, taking deep breath and all. So sighing of trees, it is personified. Winds are trees are personified, so personification is here. Fat worms waiting, sound of letter W is repeated, alliteration is there. He names the sky his own, hyperbole, it is exaggeration. Now about the fourth stanza. The free bird again thinks to take another flight because it seems dissatisfied with its first flight and shows more greediness for another. Then it takes another flight with another breeze, and with the breeze it softly flies through the trees, which makes sighing or moaning sound due to the impact of gentle breeze. Then at the sunrise, when the sun rises, trade winds means strong winds. The free bird flies through the trees which are sighing, which are making soft sound. It also flies softly through the trees which are moaning, making soft sound because of the winds. And the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn. Dawn means it's morning time, early morning. Dusk means evening, when the sun sets. Dawn means when the sun rises. And the fat worms waiting on the dawn bright lawn. It seems as if the worms or insects are waiting at the bright lawn. The lawn grass is bright because of the bright sunlight. It is morning time when the sun is rising. The bright light, sunlight is falling over the ground, and it seems as if the fat worms or insects are waiting on that ground to be eaten by the free bird. And after satisfying its hunger with delicious food, it again takes a flight to the sky, and it seems as if it has named the sky its own. Now these fat worms symbolize the opportunities which are available for the white people, for the free people, and the opportunities which are not available for the black people. Means they can enjoy and avail every opportunity, they can take chance of every opportunity, but the caged bird do not have that opportunity to make fat worms its food. In the same way, the black Americans are also restricted, and they does not have any opportunity for their success. Coming to the fifth stanza. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. In his wings are clipped and feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. Now again, shadow shouts. Sound of letter S is repeated. Alliteration is used here, and in the whole line personification is used. In the fifth stanza, the caged bird is aware of the fact that it cannot enjoy the flight in the sky, as it is not free, as a restriction is imposed on it. As its wings are clipped and feet are tied, it can never fly, but it is a prisoner. It is captivated. Thus it stands waiting on the grave of dreams. Means that cage has become its grave of dreams. The cage shatters all its dreams and aspirations. Hence, the cage is called a grave of all its dreams. The shadow that the caged bird sees of itself makes it scream as it realizes, looking out its own shadow, that its wings are clipped and feet are tied. Life for the caged bird is nothing less than a nightmare. It has no choice other than singing high in voice. So life for a caged bird is like a nightmare, and when the caged bird sees its own shadow, it screams because its wings are clipped and feet are tied. Now this sixth stanza is repeated. The stanza is the repetition of the third stanza, which is emphasizing the pathetic state of the caged bird. And this refrain, recurring as a stanza, justifies the bird's determination to keep going after its dream of freedom. Again, putting this third stanza, repeating this third stanza again, symbolize or emphasize on the pathetic condition of the caged bird. Although the caged bird may never experience freedom, it still sings because it thinks, the caged bird thinks that it was created for freedom. She says that the African Americans cried out for freedom, but they were only heard as a distant voice. So with this we come to the end of this poem. Now I will tell you a little bit about the theme of the poem. First theme is freedom and enslavement. So the theme of freedom versus enslavement runs throughout the poem, and freedom symbolized through the unrestricted movements of the free bird, whereas the enslavement is symbolized by the caged bird, whose wings are clipped and feet are tied. The second theme which is used in this poem is racism and slavery. The free bird represents the white race and their domination, whereas the caged bird becomes a metaphor for African Americans and their confinement. And the third theme is voice against oppression. So this caged bird knew his strength and used it for expressing his rebellion by singing. Singing is symbolic of his rebellion against oppression. One more thing I would like to tell you, that is the poetic devices, how personification was there in a nightmare, scream and sighing trees. What is personification? A figure of speech in which abstract ideas are invested with personality, and both inanimate and abstract ideas are endowed with the attributes of living beings. With this we come to an end of this poem. Please subscribe to Unorthodox Learning. Don't forget to click on the bell icon. Hit that like button if you enjoyed learning, and please write down your doubts in the comment section. Thank you.